So today I'm going to show you how I made a White Wolf Bucky arm, including a hand. I'm also like eating cake in between outtakes because I just did like the Bucky, the cookout scene, so I'm hungry. Cake. That actually looks pretty good. So here is the White Wolf arm that I made myself. No templates kind of thing. I can't supply any templates for this because it's kind of confusing. I kind of eyeballed it really, but I'll show you how I made it and how I did it and how I made this glove, which I know a lot of people don't involve in their templates or tutorials. So this is the finished product anyway, and I'll show you how I got to this. So first off, getting some cling film, and cling film went up my arm, and then getting some masking tape and taping up my arm with masking tape. I would usually use duct tape because it holds the form much better in shape, but masking tape, so you have to like draw on it with pen and pencil. So now that's done, that's what we're doing, drawing on it with pen and pencil. I think pen works better. Kind of the rough shape of just mainly where the deltoid is, where the bicep is, where the elbow bends, things like that. Not too exact, but getting the rough shape of the Bucky arm. And now cutting up the middle, I put it onto a mannequin arm, and now going into a little bit more detail of where the kind of lines are and things. Split that into 3 pieces, and now putting that onto foam. Cutting it out of foam and heating that up. I started heating it up kind of around the mannequin arm, but then I decided it needs to be a little bit tighter because it kind of expands a little bit as it cools. So I'm just kind of rolling that up, getting the rough kind of rounded shape to it all, checking it fits me, trimming it down a little bit, taping it onto the mannequin arm, and the same for the shoulder piece, kind of heating that up and making that as round as possible, and now gluing that down to the kind of bicep area, putting some pins in, some tape to hold it really flush and like neat. As you can see here, I drew on the pattern of it all, and here I'm putting some gold on kind of where it goes in between each of the panels, because it's clear where it's in between the panels, but some sections are really big, so I put some gold so I know where that is. Going over lightly with a Stanley blade before then using a soldering iron, because the soldering iron, it's not the neatest because it's effectively melting the area, but it's really good and really effective. So I went over with a Stanley blade first, just over kind of like the lines of certain areas, which I think really helped make it neater. So it takes a little while to go over it all, melt the lines into it all effectively. This is definitely why you want to have it on a mannequin arm as well, because it will help kind of stay in that shape because you're melting a certain section of it, so kind of certain areas like that. And here it is completed. I was putting a zip into the forearm piece as well, so it'd just be easier to kind of wear, to get on and off and zip up kind of around the wrist, so my hand can go through then zip it up. I was going to have the zip go onto a glove, which is why it's longer. And here I didn't actually film this bit, but effectively I heated up kind of the areas and then kind of expanded it, pushed it through with my hands, kind of get a bit more shape to it, the bicep and stuff. Using jacquard True Gold paint here, it's paints I always recommend, link in the description below. Using a really thin paintbrush and just kind of going into those detailed areas where it's all gold. Now for the actual like armor pieces, it really varied in picture to picture whether it was a kind of like a really dark silver, a black, but overall I think it's kind of like a really dark grey or metallic black. So I was mixing that up in a mixing pot, then I realised there's so little silver left in this specific pot, so I was just going to mix it up in there and I can reuse it. And just going around with a small paintbrush, just going around the edges of the gold, kind of making it neat, and just going around there. Now I've gone over the edges, kind of the neat areas, got a bigger paintbrush and painting in kind of the bigger sections. As you can see, the bicep area is done there, and that's kind of drying, nearly dry there I reckon. And just going over the forearm now, same way. Now this is a shirt I'm going to be gluing it to. I'm going to glue it to a shirt so it kind of is a bit more smooth onto the shoulder in a way. So I drew on with a pen, now put some glue on it and kind of just put it on so you kind of know and see where the glue kind of marks on it, both the forearm and the shoulder. And here now I'm getting some glue and gluing it down properly to that fabric shirt that I'm using, putting some pins in to make sure it all kind of sticks kind of everywhere throughout, not just the edges. And now put it onto the mannequin arm and tied some fabric around it to kind of make it really strong, held down, same with pins. And now that's dried, taking all those out. Where you see the fabric of the base shirt, I found this holographic fabric I used for a previous project and I glued that down. Because it's not quite the same with gold, I'm using the gold paint I've used for the gold sections of the foam armour and painting it with that as well, so it's all the same and it matches. Now this is the original glove I did. I'm not super happy with it, but this is the process I did. I sketched around my hand, drew out what the armour kind of looks like, got the armour pieces in foam, wore the glove, glued it down to my hand so it's take the shape, taped it, but I decided no, I'm not a really big fan of this. I mean, at one point I even tried this latex glove here, putting that inside, but it didn't work. So I've got the gold holographic fabric again,
and I drew around my hand on the inside of the fabric. You can't really see it here because it's black Sharpie on black fabric. Sewed around that and trimmed that down, kind of roughly here. Checked it all fit, it fit, so then I sewn it up a bit tighter and stronger. Got some really thin foam here, and I'm heating it up both sides and kind of trying to form it to my hand. It didn't work quite as I wanted, so I actually put this on my hand. So be careful not to burn yourself if you do this. And just getting the shape of my hand as best I can. If I had Warbler, that would work great, but I don't. Now I'm drawing around where the armour pieces are, exactly how it fits on my hand, which is what I wanted to do with all this. Trimming it down a little bit, and then lightly scoring it with a Stanley blade. I didn't want to cut the pieces out completely, so I'm just lightly scoring it with a Stanley blade on the outside, and then when you go to the inside, you kind of just roughly kind of see where that is. As you see here, outside scored, inside you just kind of see where the armour pieces are. So I'm putting glue on where I want the armour pieces to stick to my hand effectively, and the areas that you want to peel off and would cut out, I've not put glue on. Ideally there is a little bit of overlap, but it happens. And now I'm taping this to my hand, wearing the gold glove that I've made. Taping it all down so it's all really tight, and there it is. Wore this for about an hour. Now I'm cutting it off, taking my hand out, like the glove completely off. Left that for an hour, and now I'm taking the tape off completely to let it breathe in case it was stopping air get to it and the glue wasn't drying. Now it's completely dry after 3 or 4 hours. Now I'm taking off the areas where you want to be able to see that gold underneath. Had to use some scissors in a couple of areas where the glue overlapped and kind of trim it down a bit. And here's the kind of process, and that's kind of what it will look like after. Some areas need a little bit of extra glue, so I'm just giving a bit of extra glue, putting some pins in it where need be, or putting on my hand and taping around it again. And the areas that were a little bit too thin of foam and it came off, and I just decided I'm just going to put some puff paint on it instead, so I'm just puff painting in lines and details here effectively. Looks something like that, just leaving that to dry, kind of balance there. And now again, painting the gold with the jacquard true gold paint, so it's over that, and then getting that black paint, black silver, metallic black paint again, and going over that, and now going over with the puff paint again, because the gold effectively went over that a little bit, so just going over the black puff paint again. And this is effectively the finished product of the hand. The paint's still drying, but that's it for now. And then as for the jacket, I found this really nice cheap jacket on eBay secondhand. A little bit damaged on the inside as you see there, but the outside looks great, so I'm just trimming off the shoulder to fit the arm through.
So here it is complete with the whole Madripoor style look. This is just a temporary cosplay. It's actually a backpack, not actual straps, and this bit's just kind of pinned on. But I thought it'd work at short notice, and I am really happy with this jacket. Overall, this is the arm. As you can see by me bending it like this, I can't really bend it too much, especially in the elbow here, but I am really happy with the hand movement. If I was going to upgrade it, I would definitely cut into these panels, kind of where the gold already is, around the bicep area and upper forearm, so that you can have a little bit more manoeuvrability. And I'd coat it in some of this stuff. This is EvoStick wood glue, actually a type of resin, and it makes foam really solid. Not as solid as 3D printed stuff, it's obviously just an outer shell, but it can make it really solid. And I think that would really help this, because already sadly from wearing it just a couple of times, the paint's already starting to crack a little bit because of where the foam's squished and moved around a little bit. But with this stuff on, it would make it much better and stronger. But I'm really happy with the paint job, I'm really happy with the movement in the hands, and overall just really happy with it. Sorry I don't have a template available for it because it was kind of done eyeballed, but you can follow the same process that I did to make it. And if you do so, tag me on Instagram, drop me a comment below. I'd love to see how they all turn out. Thanks for viewing, make sure to drop a comment and subscribe.